And welcome to part two, making Finn the human. So in part two, what you'll need, you're going to need your white yarn, your dark blue yarn for his pants, medium blue for his shirt, your 3mm crochet hook, a hot glue gun. That's how I put the ears on. I also put the face on that way, but in the first video I showed, I had you also, if you wanted to sew it, you could just leave the long yarn tail. You'll of course need scissors, tapestry needle, and a stitch marker for most of it, unless you're, more experienced and you get to a certain point and you just know to count. And plenty of stuffing. So, all right, let's get started making his body. Okay, so to begin, make your slip knot and chain 2. Then in the second chain from the hook, you're going to put 6 single crochets. Now we have our 6 single crochets. You're going to put 2 single crochets in each one of those 6 stitches. Now, this is where I will put my stitch marker in. Now we're going to do that again. We're going to put 2 single crochets in each one of those 12 stitches. And 2, go ahead and continue putting 2 single crochets in each one of those 12 stitches. And I'll meet you back. So you've come to the end, you'll be putting 2 single crochets into that last stitch. All right, now you're going to put 2 single crochets into that next stitch. Now you're going to put 1 single crochet into the next 3 stitches. 2, 3. Then you're going to put 2 single crochet into the next stitch. And then 3. And that's your pattern. Do that all the way around, and I'll meet you back at the stitch marker. You come into the end of round 4, and you'll be putting in your last 3 single crochets. You should have 30 single crochets all around. Now for round 5. You put 2 single crochets in that next stitch. And then 4 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then 2 single crochets. And then 4. 2. And repeat that all the way around, and I'll meet you when you land on the stitch marker. Now you're coming to the end of round 5, putting in your last 4 single crochets. So in round 6, you're going to put 2 single crochets into that next stitch. Then you're going to put 5 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then 2 single crochets in the same stitch. And then 5. And that's your pattern. So continue working on that pattern, and I'll meet you back at the stitch marker. So you're reaching the end of, round 6, putting in your last 5 single crochets. Okay. Now you should have 42 stitches around. Now for round 7, this will be the last time we increase. Put 2 single crochets into that next stitch. And then 6 single crochets. 1, 2, 6. Now 2 single crochets in that next stitch. and then 6 single crochets. Okay, that's your pattern. Do 2 single crochets, then 6 single crochets. Repeat that pattern and I'll meet you back at the stitch marker. So you're reaching the end of your stitch marker. Putting in your last 6 single crochets. Okay. Now you'll have 48 stitches around. Now for the next 13 rounds, you're going to be putting just 1 single crochet into each one of those 48 stitches. So you do that for 13 rounds, and then I'll meet you back, and I'll see you soon. Okay, so you're coming to the end of your rounds, and I misspoke a little bit ago. You want 15 rounds, not 13. And once you have that, you can move on. The next part we're going to do is you're going to do 48 single slip stitches. You're going to go into that front loop and you're going to do a slip stitch. Okay. So once you've completed that, cut the yarn, then try to bury it. No, that'll be fine. That'll be fine. Okay. Because I'm just going to stick it right in there anyway. All right. Let's go ahead and stuff a bit. Now to stuff, you put it in and you kind of work it towards the outside. You know, the outer edges. and just start to stuff it. Okay, that's good for now. And we'll of course shape it as we go. So right in that spot where you fastened off, that back loop you're going to connect your yarn, your blue yarn, medium blue. Connect it and then go back into that same stitch and make a single crochet. Tie in that yarn tail. And pull on all that. Make that tight. Okay. Now you're going to do 48 single crochets in each one of those back loops. And you're going to do that for 2 rounds. And then I'll meet you back here. You've come to the end of your 2 rounds. Got your stitch marker. Now, this round, we're going to attach the arms. So to do that, we're going to single crochet 9. Now, get your arm. Now, when you do this, you want to make sure the color change is facing you and the thumb is facing forward. The back of his head will be where your stitch marker is. So, as long as the thumb is facing forward, and the color change, then you're going to put them together. And you're going to single crochet into the arm and then into the body, 3 single crochets. Once you have that, you're going to single crochet 24. So make 24 single crochets. Attach the second arm. Do the same thing you did on the other side. Obviously, you've got only one arm left, so put one. One. And put 3 single crochet. And then 9 single crochet. Okay. So now for 13 rounds, you're going to put 1 single crochet in each of those 48 stitches. That's where I got the 13 from. So do that for 13 rounds and then I will meet you back. So we've come to the end of 13 rounds. Now, let's go ahead. Let's just stuff it up some more. Okay. Okay. All right. We'll shape as you go. All right. Okay. And put our stitch marker back. Now, in the front loop, we're going to do similar what we did before. We're going to slip stitch all the way around in those 48 stitches. Let's try that again. Okay. Remember the front loop only, and slip stitch all the way around. Okay. You put your last slip stitch in. Snip. And we'll fasten off. Okay. Tuck that right in there. Now, get your dark blue and attach it to the back loop inside. And then where you connected it, go into that same stitch and make one single crochet. Now you're going to single crochet all the way around in those back loops, and you're going to do that for 5 rounds total, and then it will start decreasing, so I'll meet you back. So you've come to the end of your 5 rounds of 48 single crochet. Now we'll pause a moment. Let's do some stuffing. Finn takes a bit of stuffing. Okay. Right. Now just put a little bit more. Stuff as you go. All right. Now we're going to add the legs on this round. So we're going to single crochet 16. 1, 16. Now we're going to add the leg. Kind of put it so it's in the front so you see which way it's going, so the toes point forward. And just bring it back. And put one into the leg and then one into the body. And you do 5 single crochet. Now, once you get that on, do 12 single crochet. Now do the second leg. Make sure it goes forward, bring it back. One. Oh, come on. Nope. 2. 3. 4. 5. Now 10 single crochet. And 10. Okay, in this row we start decreasing. So you're going to first start with an invisible decrease. Then you're going to do 6 single crochet. And an invisible decrease. And 6. And you're going to continue that all the way around till you land back on your stitch marker. So you're putting in your 6 single crochet. And then now the new pattern is you'll be putting in 1 invisible decrease, and then you'll be putting in 5 single crochet. invisible decrease, and 5. You repeat that all the way around. And I'll meet you when you land down the stitch marker. I'm putting in my 5th single crochet. And I like to add a little more stuffing. Maybe a little more there. Okay. Now we're going to do the single, sorry, the invisible decrease. And then 4 single crochets. And that's the new pattern. So invisible decrease, and then 4 single crochets. And I'll meet you when you're back on the stitch marker. We've come to the end of putting in 4 single crochets. Okay, and you just stuff as you go. All right, so you're going to do an invisible decrease. And then 3 single crochets. And there's your new pattern. Invisible decrease. And 3 single crochets. Keep doing that and I'll meet you back. So we're coming to the end of your invisible decrease and then 3 single crochets. And pull it up. Let's put some more stuffing. Oh, that might be too much. That ought to do it. You definitely want a lot of stuffing. Fiber fill or whatever your preference is. And sometimes tuck it like that. Just because that way it doesn't get in my hook. Okay. Well, put our stitch marker back. Oh, a little bit right there. I tend to use a lot of stuffing. Whatever your preference is, you can make it. My fin is generally firm, but if you want them squishy, you know, it all depends on your preference. Okay, so for the next round, we're going to invisible decrease. And then 2 single crochets. And it's your new pattern. And then 2. Okay, continue on with that. So now I'm putting my last 2 single crochets in. Then we're going to invisible decrease. And then 1 single crochet. Invisible decrease. Gets a little trickier. It's harder to handle. And then 1. Now you're just going to, well, let's put in, for me, I'm going to put in some more stuffing. Okay, that's good. Beautiful. Now we're going to do 6 invisible decreases.
Two, 3, 4,
And there's a little bit of, stuffing that came in there. And what I generally will do when that does happen, sometimes it's unavoidable, I use tweezers and I am able to pull it out without damaging the yarn. And get your tapestry needle, thread your tapestry needle, and you go into the top loops of that last, I believe, 6 single crochet right there, in and out. Give it a little tug, and I go right back in through it and work it around behind the needle, behind the thread, I mean. There. Here's our fin. Shape him up. Looks pretty good. Yeah. Now we're on to putting on the face and the ears. So now let's put on Finn's face. So put it where you think you want it. Now I'm going to do this. I hot glue, but I also put in a couple stitches. So when you made your face in part 1, it should be all set. And that's about where I want it. If you want to just sew it on, then I would put it on, pin it in place, and then go ahead and stitch right in the white parts of the stitches all the way around. I'm gonna hot glue. But I also stitch. This just gives it just gonna put it all around. And then you want it. I put it so that the white of the face is lined up with the shirt. Okay. That might have been just slightly crooked, ever so slightly. We'll go in, come up through another little hole stitch, back in through that hole, come up, sometimes it's hard to find a hole to come through. Okay, and do that, and sew that all the way around. Put a little bit of fabric glue, if you'd like, right around the edges, and then just hold it right down. And that will be Finn's face. And so now for the ears. Now, you can put a little bit of stuffing. What I do, you want this piece on the outside, so it's like that. And what I do And I put hot glue. And then, of course, you can sew it. I'll put a couple stitches in there and shape it. And you do the same with the other side. Yep, that's pretty even. And just put in a couple stitches, or you can just sew it right on. Stitches there. Yep. Okay, there. There, you've made Finn. Now, we're on to the backpack.